Hello, you guys. I am Dustin Limberg. I'm a visually impaired man that lives in Columbia Heights, Minnesota. Today, I'm going to talk about why you should live in St. Louis Park as a disabled resident and live in Southwest Minneapolis along the 17D bus. South Minneapolis is split in half by 35W. If you live in the west part of 35W, you live in southwest Minneapolis. If you live in the east side of 35W, you live in southeast Minneapolis. And the cultures in southwest Minneapolis and southeast Minneapolis are completely different. And then what separates South Minneapolis from downtown Minneapolis is Highway 94. So, and then if the bus that goes from downtown Minneapolis to St. Louis Park through southwest Minneapolis is the 17D. And the 17D comes every 15 minutes until 11:30 at night. It starts somewhere between 5:30 and 6 a.m. and it goes until like 11:30 p.m. every 15 minutes, even on the weekends. So if you're disabled and you have to live in low-income housing in southwest Minneapolis, you want to make sure that you are walking distance from the 17D bus. The 17D, the reason why is because a lot of low-income housing is located in South Minneapolis for disabled people. But South Minneapolis isn't going through a good economic time right now. So if you're disabled and you want to live independently in Minnesota, high chance the state is going to really push you to live in South Minneapolis. But if you live on the right, close to the right buses, when you live in South Minneapolis, you can get to very nice suburbs, first-ring suburbs that have shops, that have stores, that have everything you need. And so yes, it might be a 43 to 45 minute bus ride to get from where you are to that first ring suburb, but at least it'll have everything that you ever will need. And then you just have to buy a little shopping cart. When I lived in downtown and I used to go to St. Louis Park to do half my shopping, or I used to go to Edina to do half my shopping some weeks. It depends on what city I was in the mood for, because Edina and St. Louis Park have two different feels, and two different income levels. So it depends on how high hand you wanted to go that week. But when I lived in downtown, so that's why in this video you see my address as the LaSalle Apartments, because as a disabled person living in South Minneapolis, where all our low-income housing is located, the furthest you probably go will be downtown. So that's why I put my old apartment address in when I lived in downtown, so then you guys can see where the bus line goes. So around the main shopping mall in St. Louis Park is called the Shops at Knollwood. The Shops at Knollwood is St. Louis Park's major shopping center. So if you want to move to St. Louis Park, you want to move as close to the Shops at Knollwood as possible, so you can have the best public transportation as possible. And the closer you move to the Shops at Knollwood in St. Louis Park, the better Metro mobility service that you will get, because all disabled people that live in St. Louis Park that rely on Metro mobility are trying to get to these shops. So if you want the best Metro mobility service too, if you don't want to rely on the city bus, you want to live near the shops at Knollwood. And if you live in South Minneapolis and you want to take Metro mobility and you want to go to a good spot where Metro mobility will actually take you and more reliable, you want to go to the shops at Knollwood at St. Louis Park. So even if you're a Metro mobility user or you're not a city bus user, you want to, if you live in Southwest Minneapolis, you want to go here because I love Edina and I love the Southdale Mall, but the Southdale Mall is made for more high-end people who have a lot of money. And if you're disabled and you're living off Social Security, you don't have a lot of money. While the shops at Knollwood in St. Louis Park, they do have some high-end shops, but they also have low-end shops for people with low incomes to go buy stuff that we don't need. So that's why I've been very, very, very encouraging people with disabilities that have to live in Southwest Minneapolis, because that's where the low-income neighborhood is for people with disabilities in the state of Minnesota, is to live along the 17D bus so they can get to St. Louis Park where things are a little bit more affordable for them. Let's look at this beautiful shopping mall here, because the shopping mall is going to be the reason why you want to move to St. Louis Park or Southwest Minneapolis and take the bus to St. Louis Park. So in this shopping mall, there is a dentist office called Knollwood Dentistry. There's an Applebee's, so if you want to go on a date with your family out in the suburbs, you can go to Applebee's. You have a DSW. I love DSW. I used to, before I moved in with my mom, because I have divorced parents, I never valued DSW. But after my mom started taking me to DSW, I would save so much money off shoes. Oh my God, because I barely buy shoes because they're so damn expensive and I don't have the money. But, when I need them, when I lived in downtown Minneapolis, I would literally take the bus to go to a DSW shoes so I can get discounted shoes and save myself a lot of money, because between working at Mall of America, living off Social Security, and all that stuff, I didn't have a lot of money. And then on my day off, when I need to go shopping, I'm not going to the Mall of America on my day off when I work there. So I would come to a different shopping mall where I didn't work. Because I was at the Mall of America every day, 8 hours a day. Mall of America was the easiest mall for me to get to when I lived in downtown, but I was just sick of just freaking staring at that stupid mall. So I just went to a different shopping mall. And I grew up in the suburbs, so I love strip malls. Like, I like seeing the parking lots. I like seeing people fight over parking in the parking lots. I'm a suburban kid. Like, I love public transportation, and because I'm visually impaired and public transportation helps me get around. I love, being independent. I love having Metro mobility too, if I need to get someplace that doesn't have a bus line yet. But I love strip malls. Because the issue is when you go into a regular mall, you're breathing in dirty, nasty air from everyone else around you. You're in these cramped, tiny, bright, white, shiny, like, torture hallways. It feels like you have these, like, torturing surgery lights over you. The food court pumps all the smell into the air and it's trapped in the building. And then the whole time when you're in the mall, you're hungry. It's just like, and then there's no space for people to go because the hallways are tight and small, and then you're walking shoulder to shoulder with people, not trying to bump into them. At least with a strip mall, everything's like the stores are indoors, but everything else is outside, and there's like a parking lot outside. So when it's busy, people have space to kind of spread out. And I like feeling on a sunny day, I like feeling natural sunlight hit my face. And I like seeing normal people with cars, like trying to circle the parking lot, trying to find a parking spot because it's entertaining. And then like you're like, ha ha ha, I took the bus out here. I don't have to worry about parking. Ha ha ha. And you can kind of laugh at them in like your head and see them trying to, as you're eating and looking out Panda Express's or Applebee's window, and you get to see, and you trying to, in your entertainment is trying to see, to guess how long will it take them to find a parking spot. So I love strip malls, and I love the people. I love seeing the young kids, because a lot of people who live in the suburbs are people reproducing babies. So you see a lot of little kids out at the strip malls, and you can hear their laughter, you can hear their crying. I just love strip malls. Like the ones here in Columbia Heights, they're so small. It's not really like a strip, like a modern strip mall. It's like a mom and pop corner store kind of strip mall. But the newer suburbs, like St. Louis Park, their strip malls have like 30, 40, 50 shops. And if, like, for example, if the Albertville Outlet Mall built a bus route that went from their outlet mall to downtown Minneapolis that came every 15 minutes, I would definitely like Uber to that bus's like bus stop, and I would definitely go out to the Albertville Outlet Mall. The only reason why I can't go to the Albertville Outlet Mall is because there's no public transportation. But if the Albertville Outlet Mall built a city bus that went from downtown Minneapolis out to the Albertville Outlet Mall, and they advertised it on like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they would get thousands of disabled people like me taking the bus to go out there and spending money, because I will make the effort to get to that bus line so then I can go out there, because I love strip malls. I just love strip malls. In St. Louis Park, they're shopping as a giant strip mall. And look, there's a Cub Foods. There is a Total Wine. Total Wine, guys, oh my God. If you guys can buy a shopping cart, like when I lived in downtown and I came out here to St. Louis Park, I bought a shopping cart because I like to shop in suburbs. In the suburbs, you have to walk through parking lots. So I didn't want to hold these big heavy bags of stuff that I buy. So I literally bought like a shopping cart, and then I would load up my my stuff into the shopping cart, and then I would push it through the parking lot, making shopping in the suburbs way easier when you can't drive. So then I would go to Total Wine. Oh my God, I love Total Wine. You can get like drinks for so fucking cheap, and you can get good drinks too. And then Chick-fil-A. You can tell when a suburb's doing okay when there's a Chick-fil-A. Like every good suburb needs a Chick-fil-A, in my opinion. If you're a rich suburb and you don't have a Chick-fil-A, something is wrong with you. And then here's a dentist's office, and this is Highway 7. I never needed to take Highway 7 before. When my mom was living here, I probably did, but I probably didn't realize it. And see how, look at all the apartments around here? Like apartment. See, I know. See over here, if you can get past, see how there's a little road right here that can take you from this mall over the Minnehaha Creek / river. And look at over here. There's a Target. There is a Dollar Tree. There is a big business. There's another apartment. And right up here, see, this is Minnehaha. This is Minneapolis right here. So, and see how St. Louis Park has all these parks? Like, if you take the 17, you can walk through these neighborhoods on the side of the road. Some of these neighborhoods don't have sidewalks because it's St. Louis Park, okay? And then you can be like me and just walk on the side of the damn road in the bike lane or whatever. You know what I mean? It's the suburbs. Not that many people are taking the bike lane. You can, because most people in the suburbs are lazy and they just don't want to walk. See how there's all these apartments here? That's why and see, they have a public library. That if you take the 17D and you get out here, you can just bike from the bus line or walk. And then see how they have all these parks and they have all these apartments and stuff. And then if like you take the 17D like up into here, see how like you go into the older part of like where the Minneapolis slash St. Louis Park borders meet, you get these older like brick apartments and stuff. Because St. Louis Park and Southwest Minneapolis, they blend in so well together that you don't even know when like you cross into the other city if like you were not reading signs. The only reason why I didn't move down here was because my family lives in like St. Cloud, Elk River, Otsego, Blaine. And if I moved down here, I would have to bus all the way to downtown and then bus all the way up to Brooklyn Park or the North Town Mall in Blaine, and that's a 2-hour bus ride. And I didn't want to do 2-hour bus rides just when I wanted to go see my family. So that's why I chose the north part of Minnetonka Boulevard. Yep. I remember seeing this for sure when I went down there. And I probably saw the gas station, but I'm low vision. I probably didn't realize who the brand was or what the brand was. Because the issue when like you have low vision, it's hard for you to see everything go around the bus. So, and then see how there's like a little like community center along this bus, things to actually do. See some of these old brick apartments, because they don't have underground parking and they don't have street parking because they were built before people had cars. They will take a lot of them will take like Section 8 vouchers and stuff. Not vultures. See how now like we're getting into the old part of St. Louis Park. See how there is a dentist office here. There's a Papa John's. There's a Speedway. Speedway is like used to be Super America. So they sell a lot of ices, smoothies, and now they're owned by 7-Eleven. So now they sell a lot of similar foods to 7-Eleven. But 7-Eleven's taking so fucking long to bring their 7-Eleven snacks to Speedway. It's like fucking ridiculous. Come on, I want 7-Eleven ices, please. And then, so here's a hairstyle place. So now this is getting into the old part of St. Louis Park, where rents are going to be a little bit more cheaper. So because if you go more towards the shopping mall, you're getting new stuff, and new equals more money. And if you're living on Social Security, sorry, you're not able to afford new. You need the oldest building on the 17D to live in. Ooh, I didn't know there's a fitness center on the bus. Oh, it's in someone's house. That's why I didn't freaking know it. And look, there's a church where like you can pray to God and hope that the government will give us higher Social Security checks. So we can actually live in nice places like normal people. See, and here's some nice apartments. These apartments are definitely low income. I didn't know what the apartment was called when I was going past them when I lived in downtown. But you saw people sitting in their lawn chairs drinking, and their lawn chairs didn't look like to be in the good condition. But as a disabled person / blind and visually impaired person, these are the apartments you want. Because yes, you might not have the best neighbors in society, but you'll be on the 17D, and you can get out St. Louis Park where you get the more higher end people in society, and you get the nice shops and stuff, and then you can feel more normal. Okay, I didn't know this was all here. Cool, look, there's more apartments and stuff. And so the good thing is, when I'm going with you guys, I get to see some of the things I couldn't see on the bus because of my low vision. So what I did was I was gonna do this anyways without recording, but I'm like, hey, when I'm looking at myself, why not record it? So then you guys can see what I'm seeing. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know this was here. Oh, this is a group home? I had no clue that was a group home. I thought that was this apartment. So now, like, you can see, so now you're definitely getting into Minneapolis. The uptown neighborhood in downtown Minneapolis is a very nice neighborhood to live in because it has all these new apartments. It has, oh, that's why we're over 100, over Highway 100, because 100 separates St. Louis Park from, in my mind, from Minneapolis. In my mind. Some people, it's further down. Some people, it's further over here. I don't know where the legal line is, but in my head, it was always Highway 100. Ah, okay. That was a speedway. And then here, there's more apartments. These look like more higher income apartments. Because it's along the lake. It's close to the lake. Oh, I've never been there before. Okay. You definitely in the higher end neighborhood because I remember seeing this on the bus when I went down there. Like Whole Foods, like around here, there is a bunch of like high end stuff, like Walgreens. I know Walgreens is not supposed to be high end anymore, um, but in Minneapolis where everything's closing in like the low income areas, um, it's hard to find anything that's open anymore. And then like Punch Pizza, we had that in Maple Grove. And I never really, when my parents lived there, I never really liked it, I'm gonna say, because it's all like freaking organic stuff. Like they don't have like real meat. I'm sorry, I grew up in suburbia in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where we actually kill real cows and we actually put real meat on our pizza. I'm not one of those. In this neighborhood here, this uptown neighborhood, has a lot of people who wear $1,000 high heels. Um, they have like clothes that a lot of disabled people like us can't afford. But if like you are disabled and you can find someplace here that you can afford off your Social Security, go for it. Go for it. And live along the rich and elite people over here. Go for it. And then this used to be called Lake Calhoun, but with the Native Americans not liking the lake, we changed it so like we're being respectful. But how I feel about it is half the people that the lakes are named after are dead, and and all these young people are too lazy just to Google. So, so in my opinion, whatever the lakes are named after, no one, after the baby boomers are dead, no one's not going to know what it means anyways. Because everyone is too lazy to Google anything. So, so to like I didn't know Lake Cahoon was named after a guy. Like I didn't even know he was named after a dead guy. The only reason why I knew it because the news and people researched and said, hey, it was named after a slave owner. And I'm like, okay, like I didn't even know that until the media told me. So, and they did their research. So to me, it's like how I feel. Okay, the Native Americans want the lake name change. No big deal because I'd even like to me, I didn't even know the lake was named after a slave owner because I'm part of the lazy generation. I don't really Google anything unless I want like to Google. I do Google like services for disabled people and stuff, and I do Google the news now. But when I was like in my teenage years, like or in college, I just cheated and used like the library or when I was doing papers, I would have to Google. But if you're a person like me, if you're not like me and went to college and actually had to learn to Google and stuff, most people they don't Google. So like to me, it's like in research things. So I didn't even know that Lake Cahoon was named after a slave owner until people told me. Because to me, it was like, okay, I was raised with it named Lake Cahoon. What's the problem with it? I don't even know who that person is. But the Native Americans, this is on this side of the lake, going into south West Minneapolis. It's their community, and if I'm like, okay, if they want their lake changed differently, go ahead. I'm not going to throw a big fuss about it because I honestly don't give a crap. And this is when like you're officially in Uptown. Um, there's like here, there's a London Barley's, there's a Cub Foods. I've been to this Cub Foods plenty of times. Um, because this is one of the best Cub Foods in the whole city of Minneapolis, in my opinion. And this London Barley's is the best London Barley's in the whole city of Minneapolis, in my opinion, because the people here are wealthy, so they can afford in the uptown neighborhood, so they can afford high-end food. So they get high-end food shipped to those stores. And then there's a lot of apartments around here. So around here in Uptown along the 17D bus, it's kind of mixed because a lot of the apartments there are old, so they don't have street lot parking and they don't have underground parking because they were built before cars. Because when the city of Minneapolis was being built, the Uptown neighborhood was built to be a rich people like getaway spot, like vacation spot. But when they built it, they used horses and wagons, or people would take the streetcar, so there was no space really to put cars. So in the uptown neighborhood, you will see you'll see like the luxury buildings who have like a security fence around them. And then inside they'll have like a service parking lot and then an underground parking lot. And then the building will be like 12 to 13 levels. And then you next to it will be a low income building who only has a grass field around their apartment and they have no place to park their car and stuff. So the issue is if like you're disabled, you want to go towards those buildings because they end up having cheaper rent because normal people want some place to park their cars and stuff. So if like you move into those buildings, you can mostly find something that's affordable in Uptown. But if like you're a disabled person with a car, Uptown is to be very expensive because in downtown in Minneapolis, parking is premium. Parking is for people who have wealth. Parking is for people who have money. So if like you are in the up so if you're disabled and you want to live in the uptown neighborhood, you have to live in an apartment that normal people don't want to live in. So look for a apartment who doesn't have parking and at all and doesn't have street parking at all So then you know, and then the good thing is if your family wants to come see you, what you do is you tell them, hey, meet me at the shops at Knollwood in St. Louis Park, and I will take the 17 bus to meet you at the mall. Because when I used to meet my relatives, when I used to live in downtown, like I have some relatives that are willing to drive to downtown, but what I would do is I would meet them out in like Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Columbia Heights, in the Northtown Mall in Blaine, because they could drive, park at those spots for free, and pick me up for free because they don't have to pay, hang out with me for free, and then they would drive home and I would take the bus back to downtown. Because all my family live in the suburbs, and I'm the only disabled one who lives in town that doesn't have a car because my vision, trust me, you don't want me on the road. So I would bus out to the suburbs, meet them out in the suburbs where there's free parking, they don't have to pay for parking, they don't have to navigate the ramps and stuff, and then I would go back in. So if like you're a disabled person and you don't have a car, you can live in one of those apartments what I did like in downtown, and then you can take the 17D bus to meet them out in St. Louis Park where there's parking for free and stuff. Because in Minneapolis, the city says, oh, parking is only for rich people. And because we're disabled, we're not rich. So we don't have access to free parking. So for our guests. So that's why it's important for you to live along the 17D bus. So if like you want to see your family, you can actually like take the bus out there and see your family. That's just my opinion. And I used to go to this because the Edina bus goes down this road right here in front of the Cub Foods, the one that goes to Southdale. So one day when my dad was working in Bloomington, I went to go visit him and he dropped me off at Southdale Mall. I took the bus that goes from Southdale, stopped here at Cub Foods on the way home, bought some groceries, whatever could fit in my backpack, and I continued on my way home to downtown Minneapolis. And then see all these beautiful condominiums that you can buy. I share my condo with my mom. So me and my mom own my condo together in Columbia Heights. But hey, if like you have a family who's willing to move in with you, you guys can both work together and live in a condo along the bus. I used to go to they own another one up more, these people own another one up in the Whittier neighborhood, another hardware store. This family owns like 5 or 6 hardware stores, and they're not like big hardware stores, but if you're living in an apartment, they sell just enough hardware in the stores just to make you go buy. Because when you're in an apartment, you don't need like saws and chainsaws and blah blah blah. But if you need a tool to tighten your chair, because like I had a cheap office chair from Walmart that needed a special like bolt twister thing to put the bolts deeper into my chair. I went to this family's chain of hardware stores, and they had the tool I needed. It's a little bit more expensive instead of going to Menards or something. If you went to Menards or something, it'll be cheaper. But when like you live in downtown and you don't have a car and you take public transportation, sometimes you rather just go to a mom and pop hardware store that's in South Minneapolis, buy hardware there instead of taking the bus or an Uber out to the suburbs where it's to get a Menards. So I went to their chains all the time because it made my life easier. And here's an apartment. See, this is also low-income apartments because a lot of low-income apartment companies do not post pictures of their apartment building on the internet because they know if they do, a lot of normal people will not even tour the place. See how all these diners, these dentists' office are along the 17 here? Because Kowalski's Markets, oh my God. Kowalski's markets, oh my God, these places are the best. They're like not as they're like between Lunds and Barley's and Whole Foods in the cost scale. So like they're not as cheap as Lund's, but they're not as expensive as Whole Foods. But Cub Foods, Hy-Vee, Walmart, and Target are cheaper than them. So you know when you live in a nice neighborhood when you see Kowalski's. And see how there's all these like businesses here. I've never been to that park before. Should I have when I lived in downtown? Yes, but did I? No. And see how it finally turns onto the 24th Street? Because the buses go through the most dense neighborhoods in Minneapolis because that's how they make money. See this giant wash coin? I went to their one in the Whittier neighborhood because that was the closest one laundromat to me when I lived in downtown Minneapolis. They have multiple branches because a lot of these apartments down here, they're so old that they were built before washer and dryers were invented. So a lot of them, if you don't go to a laundromat, you have to kind of wash them in your sink. And if you're like me, you don't do a good job and you wash them by hand. So you just want to go to the laundromat. So, and then see how long the bus line here. There's plenty of things to do. Let me go back up here. Sorry. Yep, we were about here. And then there's a coffee place. The Wedge, see, and then you have the Wedge here. The Wedge is a very good co-op store because the Wedge, some of the poor neighborhoods in Minneapolis don't have access to a Cub Foods. They don't have access to a Lunds and Barley's. They don't have access to a Kowalski's. They don't have access to a Target. They don't have access to a Walmart because Walmart and those big chains don't want to invest in these neighborhoods because so much stuff always happens that they said investing in these neighborhoods are not worth it. So a lot of low income neighborhoods in Minneapolis, some of the people get sick of not having any groceries and stuff. So then they open up their own grocery store. And when a mom and pop grocery store has 5 or 6 owners, and then it's a mom and pop grocery store, they normally call it a co-op because 5 or 6 owners work together to own this grocery store. And it's a mom and pop one, and people in the neighborhood can invest into the store stock, and it becomes like you almost investing in a Walmart stock or Target stock, but you're investing in a mom and pop business. So and then those investors can help the mom and pop business owner / grocery store owner run the store. So when I was with my friend Trina, when she lived in downtown, she would come here. I have it bookmarked because it's on one of my places. When I lived in downtown Minneapolis, I wanted to go to this place, but I never had time because I always was working at the mall, always working at the mall to pay my bills because I could barely pay my rent while working at the Mall of America when I was living downtown. So I never really had the time. I was always working, so I never had the time to go and see it. But yeah, so if I had the time and I had the money and stuff, I would went to this co-op. But things did not go the way I wanted to when I was living down there. But at least here in Columbia Heights, I'm living in my mom's place, so I'm doing okay. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, but at least I'm doing better. And this liquor store here, I almost worked at when I moved to downtown when that Nordstrom rack laid me off. I almost worked here at the Franklin Nicollet store because I would walk from downtown to this liquor store. And this neighborhood here, during the day, this is the Whittier neighborhood. During the day, it's completely fine. But when after sunsets, you do not want, like, you want to be indoors or you want to be friends with the neighbors outside. Because this neighborhood is like, eh. But, and then I know that because my laundromat here, the giant laundromat, this is the first one they opened up. And then they opened up the other ones. Um, I used to walk from my LaSalle Plaza past the Minneapolis Convention Center during the summer with my shopping cart full of my dirty laundry. And I used to walk over this bridge here, and I used to go to this laundromat. Because it was the closest laundromat to my house. And then these apartments in here, a lot of them are for low-income people, and they don't have parking because they don't have parking lots, they don't have parking ramps for their guests. It's just building concrete and maybe some grass if you're lucky. But the good thing is if you live on the 17D bus or the one that goes through this neighborhood to Edina, you can tell your family to meet you out in the suburbs where they're more comfortable, where they feel more safe. And now you're getting into downtown, and now you're in the Lorry Park neighborhood. The Lorry Park neighborhood, I have mixed feelings about because it's a low-income neighborhood for disabled people and for African Americans who work minimum wage jobs, living how like I did in downtown, paycheck. I still live that way, but at least now when I live with my mom, I'm splitting my bills 50-50, so it's not as financially stressful on me. But a lot of these people who live in Lorry Park that are African American or disabled or low income, they don't have a mom or dad that they can live with and help them financially. So I'm blessed that way. And Lorry Park, there's two sides of Lorry Park. There's the low income side of Lorry Park, and there's the rich gay part of Lorry Park. So the rich gay people normally live around the park and all the new condos, all the new apartments. Because Lorry Park used to just be a bunch of empty like warehouses and stuff, and then these developers came, knocked down all those warehouses and stuff around the park itself, and put high-end apartments and high-end condos that have underground parking. The best thing you can have in Minneapolis. Underground parking underneath your building. And then they have some mid-range apartments that have like apartment with a surface parking lot. And then they have low income who have that have no parking lot. So a lot of the gays live in the high-end apartments around the park because a lot of the gays who can afford Minneapolis are doing okay financially. So a lot of the gay communities and the gay bars are built like around the park. And a lot of the poor people who run the gay bars and all that stuff live kind of over here away from the park. And then over here is like the St. Thomas campus, and it kind of mixes in with the gay community. So a lot of gay people live around the St. Thomas campus. And this is the campus, the college I used to always walk by. And this is the LaSalle Apartments where I used to live. And the reason why I left was because downtown Minneapolis, half these businesses that show up on Google Maps are not even there anymore. Even the businesses in the Skyway are failing because baby boomers are not turning their old office buildings into apartments. If baby boomers turn their old office buildings into apartments, and then thousands of people could live down here, it would revive all these businesses that are failing. But because baby boomer political leaders are not doing their job and trying to save downtown, it's that's what's happening, and all these businesses are closing, and there's not job opportunities like there was when I first moved down there anymore. So then I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm moving to Columbia Heights, and my mom helped me get a place in Columbia Heights, and I pay her rent, and you know what I mean, and I live in her place. So and I'm happy that, but not everyone has a blessing of a good mom. So some people struggle. And my neighborhood was called Downtown West, and I, in my apartment building, was in the heart of the office building district. And I slowly saw everything just die because old baby boomers are not turning their empty office buildings into apartments and having people move into this neighborhood to save it. So baby boomers, get your shit together that own all these office buildings and turn Downtown West office buildings into mega rich people apartments. And then people can actually move down here and save the city. And then this right here used to be the train stop I used to get on to go see my friend Trina, who now lives in St. Paul. And I would take the green line to go see her, and then I would take the blue line to go to the Mall America where I used to work. So, and all these here were, when I lived in downtown, used to be businesses that used to be open that I wanted to go see. But now with people not updating downtown, the businesses are slowly starting to die. And this is the Minneapolis Central Library. If like you're disabled and you're low income, you want to hang out at this library because this library has things for you to do all day. You can read endless books. You can use the Wi-Fi. You can just sit on the couch and sleep. So this library is made for the disabled community. Because I'm sorry to say, if like you're rich and you live in Minneapolis, you're not going to go to the library. But the Minneapolis Central Library is for like the low income people throughout the city. So if you're disabled and you want things to do, you should come to this library and just bum out for the day. And then because there's computers, there's Wi-Fi, and this is the easiest, no matter where you live in the city, this is the easiest library for you to get to. And then I would go to Whole Foods. I would take my shopping cart and I would go from the LaSalle Plaza to Whole Foods because that's the best grocery store in downtown Minneapolis. I would go down Washington Avenue, and with my shopping cart, I would go to Trader Joe's because that's the second best grocery store in Minneapolis. And then I would also sometimes go to I would also go to Lunds and Barley's, and that's in the Lorry Park neighborhood, but their grocery store in downtown isn't the best. Like, if like you're a college student living on the University of St. Thomas's campus, that's not a bad place to shop because it has a decent amount of food. Or if you're low income and you live in the Loring Park neighborhood, or you're a rich gay person that lives in the Loring Park neighborhood, it's better than having no grocery store. And the only grocery store I advise you to avoid, if like you can, is the downtown Minneapolis Target, because there's always homeless people begging outside this Target. And there's always like, not like the homeless people who can't afford rent, but homeless people who are addicted to drugs, because even me as a visually impaired man, I can see the needle marks in their arms. If they're homeless people who couldn't afford rent, that'll be a different story. But this Target, and this is the Target in the Target headquarters, like the first level and the second level of the Target is where the store is, and all the other levels are where the Target Corporation is. And this building is connected to other major buildings like over here and over here for the Target employees. But just avoid the Target in downtown if possible, and just if you have the money, and just shop at Lunds and Barley's, Whole Foods, and Trader Joe's if possible. And then, so then if you live on the 17, at least you can get to the Target really easily if like you're very tight on cash, and then you can take it back down to Southwest Minneapolis. That's why I'm mentioning. Or just get off at Nicollet Mall and just walk to Whole Foods, Trader Joe's with your shopping cart. But Target gets the trouble because all the buses in Minneapolis go to Nicollet Mall, and even some of the bad neighborhoods where disabled people shouldn't be living, those buses come to Nicollet Mall, and Target's just right on Nicollet Mall, so all the trouble goes there. And of course, there's Walgreens. You can take the 17 bus to. You mean my favorite place? Let me see if they're still open. iPark is a major parking ramp company downtown. Right, they should be. They're such a small company. They're probably not even going to show up in Google Maps. Yeah, because next to Walgreens here, there is a Ma and Pa. Yeah, okay, right about. Oh, let me see. Planet Smoothie. Let's type Planet Smoothie so I can actually show you. It's on the second level. Planet Smoothie. Okay. Here we go. They have multiple locations. So. Because Planet Smoothie is a Californian company, but they haven't really reached out here yet. So on Nicollet Mall here's Walgreens. On the second level of the Walgreens building, you see this company called Planet Smoothie, and they make very healthy, delicious smoothies. And you can get there with the 17 bus, and they're getting, their hours are getting smaller amount because the baby boomers are not turning their office buildings into apartments. So there's not as much traffic down there. So they're closing more of their hours because there's not that many people. Because no one's investing in downtown Minneapolis, making it a good place to live. And then Excel Energy, that was always a beautiful building to walk through. And the 360 Nicollet condos/apartments, I wish I had the money to live there because the view from there would be beautiful. And then yeah, so that's going to be the end of the video. And I hope you guys have a good day, and thank you for watching this nonsense with me. Have a good day. Bye-bye.